Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking SMAR model. And this is something that helps people start thinking about how they're integrating the technology into your classroom. So there are different levels to the SMAR model. And it starts with substitution, and then it moves up to augmentation, to modification, to redefinition. So with substitution, there's no direct change in the function of the student work. So it's a basic cup of coffee. You instead of reading a book in your hands, you're now reading on Epic. There's no functional change to it. But when you move up the SAMR model, then you have augmentation. So there is functional improvement to it. So instead of just reading the book on Epic, now you are reading the book on Epic, but you're utilizing the tool where you can have words read aloud to you or using the dictionary. You are utilizing new tools to help the student learning. So that's turning from the cup of coffee into a latte. It's changed. So those two are the bottom levels of the SAMR model. And it's okay to live in those bottom levels, okay? So don't make it seem like I have to live in the other two. No. It's okay to be in substitution. It's okay to be in augmentation. But you do want to push yourself to modification and redefinition. In modification, tech is allowing for significant redesign of the lesson. And a lot of that could be just using Google Classroom, using grading, using rubrics, using comment features. A lot of it is just using that. And then we have redefinition. So the tech allows modification. That's your cappuccino. And redefinition, you couldn't do this task without the technology. And that's the pumpkin spice latte. It is a completely different product. And this is where you have multimedia presentations. Students are creating presentations and recording it, or creating TED Talks, podcasts that they're sharing out with more of the larger audience. So let's think about these in more detail. Substitution. So there's, again, no functional change to the task. Writing in a notebook versus typing in a Google Doc. Reading a paperback book versus reading online on Epic, Libby, or Sora. Or a paper notebook versus a digital notebook. But you need to ask yourself, what do the students stand to gain by replacing this traditional tool? In some situations, the traditional tool of writing in a notebook is a better method. So you really need to ask yourself, why am I using this technology? And then in the next one, we have augmentation. This is where the technology is enhancing the student's productivity. So, how is the technology increasing the student's productivity and potential? So, now when they're typing in Google Docs, they're using spell check and grammar check, and maybe they're listening to it using the Read and Write Chrome extension. Okay, they were reading online in the substitution, but now they're utilizing the dictionary and read aloud features. Digital notebooks, they're inserting hyperlinks, videos, multimedia things to help enhance their learning. So it's still a basic level, but it is now enhancing their student learning. So on this model right here, you'll see the bottom two levels, augmentation and substitution. Those are the enhancement. You are enhancing the student learning. As we move up, we go to the transformation. Okay, so they do have different ones. But before we move on to modification, I want to talk Bloom's taxonomy for a second. That's one thing that we are all very familiar with. When we're writing our objectives, we have to think about what the students are doing. And when we think about the substitution and augmentation, these are the apply, understand, and remember. That part of Bloom's taxonomy. So if we're remembering, we're recalling basic facts, we're understanding, we're explaining ideas, and apply, we're using the information in new situations. That's where the augmentation and substitution level come in with Bloom's taxonomy. So we're the bottom of the period. Very necessary, but it's the bottom of the Bloom's taxonomy. So when we go into the next two, we're going to push to the higher levels of the pyramid. So we're going to transformation. Modification. The lesson has significant redefinition. So, how does the technology significantly alter the learning task? So, a lot of this can be with communication and collaboration. How can you use those tools within Google, even to have more collaboration? And I've done some 10-minute PDs on feedback using Google Comments or using the editing versus suggesting mode. So, having students be able to communicate in different documents, work together, edit, revise, whatever it might be, that is a great way to do it for students and teachers. You can also make your rubrics in Google Classroom so students are able to see their expectations right there. Everything's in one place for them. So you're modifying the task by helping with communication and collaboration. And the highest level is that redefinition. We're transforming the lesson. So this is where students are using authentic audiences. They might be vlogging, they might be podcasting, it might be a virtual field trip, any kind of multimedia production. So I've had students do book trailers at the end of a book where they have to summarize the book with pictures, and then they talked over it and they made their own book trailer. So thinking about how can we bring students together with audience and making their work on a large scale level, but increasing that critical thinking. And that's where the Bloom's taxonomy comes in with this. We are looking at the tip of the pyramid where they are analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So they are drawing connections. So if it was the book trailer, they're drawing connections from the beginning, the middle, and the end of the book. And they're starting to question about what the theme might be. And then they're justifying that theme with their evidence from the story. And then they created a piece of evidence through the book trailer to show their thinking, which would not have been possible without the use of technology. So I have a chart here where you can see we have redefinition, modification, augmentation, and substitution. So if we start at the bottom with substitution, we start with just typing a story into Google Docs. If we wanted to kick it up a level, we use a spell check, grammar check, and we use read and write to have it read aloud to us. If we want to kick it to modification, Google Classroom. Students are collaborating using the documents. Students and teachers use the rubric in Google Classroom to score it. We want to open it up one more. Students publish the writing online, so students across the district can write and comment on that writing using an authentic audience. If we're thinking about reading on Epic and Sora, kick it up a level. Now they're using the dictionary and read aloud function. Now modification, they read a book online utilizing the dictionary and the read aloud while using a digital notebook that includes hyperlinks, videos, and audio notes. And then at the redefinition, students use Canva or Flipgrid to create a book trailer that does a retelling with the story on a focus on theme. It doesn't always have to be a huge project. It can be something simple where they do that. It doesn't have to be a huge multi-day, multi-week project. And then last, I'm thinking about Kami. If they just complete the worksheet on Kami, which after a year of online learning, students are done with that. You know what? Let's kick it to augmentation. Now they use the read aloud features. Let's kick it up to modification. We're no longer enhancing, we're transforming the lesson. They complete a worksheet using Kami and share their work with another student and make comments to each other in text or video comments. And then the redefinition, students create a video to explain how they completed a question and share it with students across the district. So these are all ways, just a few examples of the way that you can move up the SMAR model to think about how am I using technology in my classroom? How am I getting them to think more critically? How am I getting them to be creative? How am I getting them to communicate? So you think, how can I do all of those things using technology? So let's ask ourselves, how can my lesson be improved by technology? And the answer might be no, and that's okay. How can I engage and empower my students through that technology, giving them choice in their learning? And then evaluate the use of technology and design tasks that you want to target those higher level thinking. You want to engage students in rich learning experiences. You want to impact student achievement with these technologies. So thinking all about those things and how we can move up the SAMR level. The SAMR model, let's go back a few slides so you can see it one more time. So we either are enhancing our lesson or we are transforming. How can we push to modification and redefinition to transform our lessons using technology?